My name's Gareth Vincel and I'm the Group Editor at Golf Business, and it's a pleasure for us to have Annabelle Mander, who is the Senior Vice President of Tahaluf. Annabelle, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, 24 Fintech, it's the debut event.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a success so far.
It's been a huge success. It's been more than we could imagine. You know, we set out to create something that was very impactful, something that had genuine business outcomes. And we're more than delighted with what's taken place over the last 2 days. And we're excited to see what takes place over the next 24 hours as well.
So can you give us an idea of how many people have attended here thus far, number of exhibitors, perhaps even the types of companies, obviously mainly fintech, but it seems like there's other players here as well.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about this event is the fact that we're bringing together the entire ecosystem. So we have everything from the banks to the regulators to the fintechs to the startups. And that's really important as this event is positioned to really drive fintech forward, but in a safe way. So by bringing everybody together, it really allows those discussions to have meaning and have genuine impact. In terms of the audience, we had over 10,500 individuals attend yesterday. And I think what's actually really interesting about this event is that over the last few months, we've had over 10,000 international registrations, which I think really shows the interest of the international markets in Saudi Arabia. And it really highlights Saudi Arabia's positioning as a global fintech hub. In terms of the type of visitors that we're having at the event, it's people who have a serious passion for fintech and the future of finance. So whether you're working in the banks or one of the regulators or within the tech companies or one of the fintechs itself, there's something for everybody here in terms of what you're able to learn or what you're able to take away.
And with it being hosted here in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, how does an event like this and a gathering like this help with the Vision 2030 that is in place here? Because Vision 2030 itself, I think, has some interesting goals around fintech, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Saudi Arabia as a country is so ambitious. And we saw yesterday in the talk from the Minister of Finance, the roadmap over the next few years, all the way until Vision 2030. And the ambition by 2030 is that Saudi Arabia will have over 550 fintechs operating and in place. So that's a really ambitious target. And I think why it's so important in Saudi Arabia is the population is very young. So there's a lot of young people who are connected every day. So finance and fintech is impacting their everyday lives. We think about how much, we go to the shop and we use Apple Pay or soon to be Samsung Pay in this region, or we're using our mobile apps, or, we're using our online banking. It does affect the majority of the population in Saudi Arabia. So there's a huge interest. So an event like this is really a key strategic pillar to help drive those ambitions forward, to help bring the community together, and to help enable deals with local companies and international companies to support the overall objectives of Saudi Arabia.
And obviously you couldn't do something like this without the support of the Saudi government as well, right?
Yeah, of course. This event is so special. And the reason that it's very special is because it's fully supported by the entire Saudi government ecosystem. So we're in partnership with FSDP, the Central Bank of Saudi Arabia, the Capital Markets Authority, the Insurance Authority, and then also Fintech Saudi as the co-organisers with Tahaluf. So really that is uniting the entire government ecosystem who add so much value to a topic like this, whether it's from a regulation standpoint, a banking standpoint, or an entity like Fintech Saudi, who really drive forward the startup ecosystem within the fintech field here in Saudi Arabia. So having all of that government support, it really positions us as a very strategic event. It's brilliant to be working with all of them.
And with this being the debut events, are there any key trends, highlights that you've noticed in the 2 days that this event has been running so far?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about this event and something that keeps coming up across a lot of the content that we're running here today is the impact on the homegrown Saudi fintech startups and how that's actually going to impact the roadmap over the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, even here, we've got around 50 Saudi startups. It's going to be very interesting to see what they achieve over the next couple of years. We've seen a lot of acquisitions across the last couple of days. So I think that's a topic that keeps coming up, you know, the role of startups in that wider financial roadmap over the next few years, going towards Vision 2030.
And just as a final question, I'm sure you're already planning 24 FinTech
Yeah,
for 25.
of course.
Will it still be called 24 FinTech then, or perhaps 25 FinTech? How's that
So
going to work?
It will still be called 24 FinTech. So the story behind 24 FinTech is the 24 is significant for us. It represents the 24-hour industry. You know, money never sleeps. It represents the year 2024, which is a very special year for us because it's the year that we launched this incredible brand. And it also represents the line of latitude that Saudi Arabia sits on. So it's an anchor back to Saudi for us. So there's three things: tech, time, and a place. And that's what the 24 signifies for us. So it's cool.
Annabelle Mander, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much for having me.